Okay, looks like we're live. I'm doing something a little different today. Uh, I'm going live a little earlier than normal, just to check on some things, see how things look all around, see if anyone shows up. I'll chat with you while you're here, but yeah, I just want to make sure everything looks good. Like I say, I normally just go live and live on a hope and a prayer. But I figured for this, I would do some checking out here and there. So, in case you can't tell, which you very likely can't, I did choose to switch back to StreamYard for the streaming because uh, we were just not getting what's the word I'm looking for? The performance out of Streamlabs Melon that we were wanting. So, um, but yeah, well, I think it seems to be working. So, since there's no one here in the chat yet, there's no one for me to answer any questions from or anything, but that's fine. Like I said, so much of this was more about uh, checking out, making sure everything was working good, making sure. Making sure that the stream looks good. It's interesting that the Twitch stream that I'm doing, I don't know if that's maybe my computer or turn on video stats just to find out. So do. Yeah, I'm not gonna want to have this running the entire time because I'm dropping frames left and right because my computer sucks. So we're gonna go back to that. But okay, it looks like it's just gonna be DA Fabe and I tonight. JLB is dealing with some family issues. Issues? Not exactly. But had some family things come up that keeps him away. So it's just going to be the Fabester and I. The way it started. But I thought, you know what? Let's go a little bit earlier than normal. See if anyone shows up. We go a little bit earlier. Whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or one of those three, because those are the three that we do. So just for the sake of checking. It's exciting. All sorts of fun. Watching me stumble along here. push my computer to do more than it needs to do, and then interesting that the stream looks so shitty on both Facebook and YouTube. But it could just be that my computer is shitty and making it look shitty. Okay. Close that. But just a word of warning, anyone who is watching this on the replay or if anyone joins me here, when I do go live, because this was kind of a spur of the moment thing, I didn't have a chance to upload just a separate theme song. So there will be the 2-minute count-in and then the theme song and all of that stuff, because I got no easy way to fast forward through that. Should have thought this through. Crack my neck a bit while no one's here. Ooh, that felt good. Okay. So quite a week in wrestling. We won't be able to make fun of JLB for continuing to believe that the Cody Rhodes thing is a work, because the longer it goes on, the more I'm convinced it's not. I don't see the upside for AEW to actually have it be a work. Maybe I'm wrong. Me personally, don't see the upside to it. You know? But, you know, again, if it does turn out to be a work, it's the greatest work in the history of professional wrestling, I'll be stoked. I'll celebrate if it turns out to be a work. I just don't think it is. See if JLB shows up in the chat just to defend himself. It's not a fucking shoot, it's a work. On a total side note, before we go live on this thing, we're probably not going to talk about it on the show at all. Because this is a silly show about a silly fake sport. And people come here to talk about the silly fake sport and take their mind off things. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least say my thoughts are out with the people of the Ukraine. Shitty what's going over there. I wish there was something we could do. Unfortunately, from a geopolitical standpoint, our hands are kind of tied. Russia's got to do the first move before we can do anything. And Russia's being smart enough not to make the move that would allow us to do anything so far. So we're doing about everything we can do. But it sucks. But anyways, on that note, it is almost time. We got about 45 seconds left till I'm going to start the countdown. Then we're going to have the 2-minute countdown and then the theme song. And then we'll go into this week's Raw and Order Wrestling Booking Unit, where we talk about all the news that we care to talk about from professional wrestling. So hopefully, any of you who are already with us, we will see you on the flip side of the countdown. And we'll have fun there. Ten, 9. You don't need a countdown. This isn't the Royal Rumble.
In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, rule your ass!
Yes, listen to Warhorse. You do not want your ass ruled. Welcome to another episode of Raw and Order, the Wrestling Booking Unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that went live like 15 minutes before the show started to talk to nobody because, I don't know, I felt like it. So, if you are a follower, maybe, check in 10, 15 minutes before the show. I might just be out there shooting the shit. So, I am your host, Detective Mark Smarks. I will be joined shortly by my co-host and partner in crime, fighting District Attorney Vincent K. Fabe. He is running a quick errand and will be joining us shortly. But while waiting for that, I will take this time to remind people that Raw and Order is part of the Tatnus Co. podcast network. So once the show's over, you can head down to the doobly-doos down below. You can click the link to tatnusco.com. Head on over to Tatnus Co. Check out all the other shows in the podcast. Check out information about Tatnus himself, all of that stuff, and then come back here for our next show. We go live every Sunday night and Tuesday night at 10:30 Central, or a little early, as I did tonight. You can also support the show. I don't want to talk about this at the beginning, but it's might as well. You can also support the show by checking out our merch store. Link is in the doobly-doo, but it's rawandorderwbu.myspreadshop.com. There you can find things like the Pissant podcast hat, shirt, whatever you want. You can get yourself a sweet wrestling autograph shirt that comes blank and you get filled in with the autographs of your favorite wrestlers as you go. So this one's got, Colt Cabana and Warhorse and Laney Luck and Jordan Grace and Chelsea Green on here, Dan the Dad, GPA, SKB's there, Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn, or as they're more commonly known, Mr. Ass and Todd Ass, or maybe he's Rod Ass, not sure. Heather Reckless, a bunch of people. It's a great keepsake. I decided to throw it on for this show because, I don't really wear it. I usually have it just hanging up on that back there, and no one really gets to see what it looks like. So, but it's a great keepsake, and the wrestlers loved signing it. Absolutely loved it. So, if you want to support the show, head on over there. Link is in the doobly-doo. We've got a link tree with all the links to everything you could ever want to know about this podcast, our social medias, our ways to support us, our Patreon if you want to join that. All of that is in the doobly-doos. So, make sure to support us that way. We all have full-time jobs. This is a hobby for us. We would love to do this more often. We would love to be able to do this I'd love to live stream Monday Night Raw and Wednesday Night AEW, and just do reactions for it. But there needs to be something in it for us, right? So we are live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch right now. But down the road, we might start only doing Twitch. So definitely check us out on Twitch. Head on over to twitch.tv/Raw and Order WBU. Check us out there. That's going to be the way to make sure to catch everything, because we will be doing some Twitch exclusive live streams, and we may eventually just start doing just on Twitch. So keep your eyes on that. That's going to be the best way. But you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I am at Raw and Order WBU, like it is right there, on pretty much all of them. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. The only one that you can't find me at Raw and Order WBU for weird reasons is Facebook, where you find me at Pissant Podcast. So you can check me out there. As soon as DFA gets here, we are going to talk about this week in professional wrestling and the things that happened and the things that didn't happen and things that kind of confused us. Maybe, I don't know. Weird stuff. It's been a weird week in professional wrestling. But if you have anything that you want to say, make sure to hit us up in the chats on any of those streaming services, wherever you're watching us. If you're watching us live, it's going to be in the chats, or hit us up in the comments afterwards. Let us know what you think about this last week in professional wrestling. If you've listened to the show or watched the show before, you will know that I definitely currently seem to prefer the AEW product. I don't hate WWE, they just confuse me and they're just stupid sometimes. So the AEW product has been really exciting for me recently. But there have been some really weird turns of events in AEW that are definitely worth talking about. But I can't do a lot of talking about them until my co-host shows up. So now we wait. Like I said, he had to run a quick errand, and I don't know why he couldn't have done it like half an hour ago, but that's, not my problem. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag please sponsor me, Coca-Cola. I spend way too much money on you. But if you have watched our show recently, you do know that we have a reoccurring bit where I choose one of the packs out of this. We had 11 total packs. We're now down to 5 packs left to open. So if you're watching this live, hit up the chat with a number 1 through 5. And if enough votes for a specific number come through, that'll be the one I choose to open tonight. Maybe we'll get something good. So far, we haven't gotten anything super great. We got some sweet sticker cards that are going to go on my car, like Shinsuke, AJ Styles, and Randall Keith Orton. We've had a few cards recently of people who are no longer with WWE, like Smojo and Ember Moon. And other than that, let me see. Oh, Lindsay Dorado was one that we got. The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Karrion Kross we got. Other than that, probably the best card we got is the Hollow Damian Priest. Or maybe... Oh, where's the other hollow? We got 2 hollows. Oh, yep. The Hollow Lindsay Dorado. I am definitely loving the Allen and Ginter ones, though. Those ones are definitely my favorites of the packs. Looks like you get 2 in each pack. And so in the last pack, we got good old $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Big Van Vader. I really like the Vader one. We got Kevin Nash and Asuka the week before, and Ultimate Warrior and Typhoon. I really like the throwback ones. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, Bayley, Kevin Owens, and a Psycho Sid. I think Psycho Sid might have been the second week we did it. Have to look back. They're all out of order because I've been looking through them. So, but we'll see what ones we get this week, if we get anything really cool. Here's knocking on wood. I keep trying to find a place locally that sells the AEW cards, because I'd love to buy a handful of them, but I haven't found any place that stocks them. I know they're hard to come by, and at the moment, can't quite justify the price of a full box. Because if I'm correct, they were going for like $250 or up a box. Let me see. Well, it looks like you can get smaller boxes now for about $60. So that's I might be able to do that. It looks like I can get it for $70. I might have to order a... How many packs are in this box? Looks like there might be some cheaper places to get it too. Where is the description of this? Anyways, mostly just BS and to fill time until my co-hosts get here. Kind of weird that he's 12 minutes late to his own show. Boy, riveting podcast. I'm going to have to edit about this out of the podcast time because that's boring. But yeah, no. Big news. I just don't want to talk about too much of it until my co-host gets here because I don't want to waste the time talking about some of the big news that happened this week. If you're here watching us live, hit us up in the chat. Anything that you were excited about from this week in professional wrestling, whether it was something AEW, WWE, or one of the indies. Maybe you were excited about Matt Cardona winning his 6th championship belt. Although there is a little rounding error with that 6th championship belt, because one of them is the belt that he created for him damn self. So really only 5 belts, but you know. We'll let him say 6. I'm not going to tell him no. Oh, aside from professional wrestling, anything else out there you want to talk about while waiting for my co-host to finally show up? I'd talk about some other sports, but I don't really follow any other sports. So, how about them? Insert sports team that you care for. You don't say. You don't say. You don't say. This is all sorts of fun. So while waiting for my co-host to show up, I'm going to throw this out to anyone who's watching. I've got a dilemma for next week. Want some advice? I can either watch AEW Revolution here at my house, like I normally do, on my TV, the comfort of my couch, or they have that Joe Hand Productions where they play it live at a theater. And for this time, there actually is a theater near me that is doing AEW Revolution. What do you think? Should I go? Hey, look who finally managed to join us.
No, yeah, I apologize. I had an update that I didn't know about. Didn't happen.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're back on StreamYard. I mentioned that earlier.
I saw that.
Because,
It works better for me. Not for everybody else, but for me.
Yeah. I mean, because here's the deal. It's like, anyone who's watching can see that your video isn't great right now. But it's working. You know? Whereas on
I think the
Melon...
video's fantastic.
Well, to you it looks fine, but to us it looks... But working is better than nothing, right? That's the important thing. Working is better than nothing. And on StreamYard Melon, if you turn your video on, you're... Wait, do... boop.
Hey, but I think you're breaking up.
Mama. Anyway, so let us get into this week in professional wrestling. Like, recently we've kind of turned away from the crime report concept that we always did before, and I'm fine with that. I want to just kind of talk about, was there anything like really big news, big something that happened in professional wrestling this week that you're either excited about or disliked or confused about?
Alan Schwitty likes Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy showing up. Buddy Matthews is his new name, of course.
Buddy Matthews.
Yes. But
And
Buddy
they
Matthews
went straight
showing up.
into a storyline that was still from WWE.
Well, that's what's so fun in AEW. I really enjoy it. Is they're not afraid to reference WWE storylines, right? Like the whole Hurt Eye from Malachi Black is a continuation of a WWE storyline. They're taking it in obviously a different direction than WWE was going with it. Mm-hmm. They're going like it's corrupting him or whatever. And they're doing some fun stuff with it, and I'm excited to see some other things that might come out of it. But having Buddy Matthews show up and like instantly, will he side with him or will he go against Malachi Black, Whose side is he on? And pointing into that and leaning heavily into that. I really, really liked that. And, for the time being, he's at least a part of the House of Black, but is that going to last or is he going to eventually turn?
Well,
we don't know.
And they've shown that they're willing to book long term. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wardlow's still hanging out with MJF. Mm-hmm. We've all expected it for 6 months.
I expected it at the CM Punk match at the latest.
Yeah.
And they teased it a little at the CM Punk match. But didn't. Which then leads up to, now they've got the dog collar match at Revolution. Is Wardlow going to get involved? Is Wardlow going to cost the match for MJF? doing the final turn there, or are they going to continue the storyline longer? We don't know. And that's I don't think it can be understated how exciting as a professional wrestling fan the phrase "we don't know" can be, right? Because
absolutely.
Probably the biggest problem with WWE as a product is more often than not, we know what's going on. We know, take Royal Rumble, for example. As soon as Brock entered the Men's Royal Rumble, we knew what was going on with that storyline.
Yeah, I mean, at best, you had a hope that maybe they'd go, okay, two-time winner Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. But as soon as Brock showed up, I'm like, nope, they're not going to have Brock lose to Drew McIntyre in the Royal Rumble. Brock's going to win the Royal Rumble, and then he's going to go after one of the belts, or maybe both the belts. And in this case, now it's both the belts.
Well, and then immediately putting him into the Elimination Chamber match.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was more of a tell than Bobby's concussion.
Yeah. Well, I seriously, not knowing about Bobby's injuries, of course.
I think they pivoted the next day and went, okay, well, we'll just put it back on Brock.
Yeah. But not knowing about his injuries, I was pretty convinced they were going to let Bobby get the win at Elimination Chamber just to kind of solidify him as champion again. But, of course, finding out later that he had the injury at Royal Rumble and therefore was going to have to vacate the title at some point, it does make more sense to put it back on Brock and go from there. But at that point, it's like, why take it off Brock in the first,
Does it make more sense to put it back on Brock? I feel like the Elimination Chamber should be filled with championship caliber people. So here's and this is just a squash a little bit on WWE. I don't want to spend the night doing this because we do it enough, but herein lies the issue. You have 2 6-man events per year designed around placing somebody in either on the title or in the title hunt. Elimination Chamber should be somebody should always be people we consider world champion caliber people. Kofi should not have been able to be eliminated by Edge for the Elimination Chamber slot several years ago. He wasn't considered championship caliber at that time. Vice versa, Kofi should definitely be in now. The other piece is the vast majority of the people in the Money in the Bank ladder match should be people that it would surprise you if they won the title, because it's an opportunity for them to win the title.
Mm-hmm. I think Royal Rumble to me is the same argument there. Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank should be about elevating people.
Correct.
That's the whole point of those. But anyways, here's another perfect example. You mentioned Money in the Bank, right? In the last, let's say, 4 years of Money in the Bank, how long has the women's reigns ran?
What do you mean?
The woman who wins the Money in the Bank, how long have they had the briefcase?
Oh, golly, I don't know.
I have a suspicion. Let me get here and find the.
You think that they've been relatively short if they won?
Yes. Money in the Bank 2021. Nikki ASH won the women's title, and let me go to that.
Didn't hold it for very dang long. 2 months.
I don't even think she held it that long.
2 weeks.
I think she. Let me get to the exact. Wikipedia is making it tough on me. Okay. Where's the women's one? So Nikki ASH won there, and then I want to say she cashed it in like within the week.
Oh, the amount of time she had the money in the bank, not the amount of time she had the title after she cashed it.
The amount of time she had the money in the bank briefcase. Right.
Oh, yeah, I think it was a couple months tops.
I don't even think it was a couple months. I think it was like within a week. I think she cashed it in the following Raw.
It may have been 2 weeks, maybe. Maybe not the following Raw, but the one after that.
Mm-hmm. And my point being, I believe the year before. Stupid phone being stupid. I believe the year before, in 2020, the women's Money in the Bank ladder match featured a cash in that night.
Becky? No, the year before would have been Asuka, maybe?
The year before might have been Asuka. Yeah. Yep. The year before it was when Becky handed it off to Asuka. So, not technically a cash in because it turned out it wasn't, but still the next night, right? And then 2019, right? It was. Bailey, who won the Money in the Bank ladder match.
I think that one took a little longer.
That one might have taken a little bit longer. But my point still being, it used to be, and this coming up on the spot, I wasn't prepared. I would have had these all looked up and all this stuff. But it used to be Money in the Bank contracts would be out there for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months.
Oh, yeah. Seth ran it really long, running it all the way to WrestleMania the next year. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's in a way, I don't want to say it's long-term storytelling because I don't think it is. I don't think they planned it that long-term.
I think you just build more heel heat for that person.
I think it was, let's give them the thing and then let's see how it goes until we find the right time to do it. But recently, aside from Otis winning it in 2020 and then Miz winning it off him in, was it November? And then cashing it in December or whatever. Maybe it was January. I can't even remember. Aside from that, the Money in the Bank cash-ins have all been within a few months.
Yeah.
Of Money in the Bank. Because they don't have a plan and they don't have the balls to sit on that for a while and see how it plays out.
Literally, they did the Money in the Bank in what can only be described as a fashion that says, well, shit, this will be funny.
Mm-hmm.
With Otis winning.
Yeah. But they just don't have the guts to hold on to it for very long to see
to see what kind of heat they get,
or
what type of cash in they should have. Should they have a clean Daniel Bryan, John Cena cash in?
Mm-hmm.
John Cena's cash in, should they have them fail? Should they have them make a foolish move? Ken Anderson, Jack Swagger, or Ken Kennedy. Sorry, I should have said Anderson. But Should those things be done? Should we have a foolish decision made by said person? All of those are options.
Mm-hmm. So let me get down here. I'm
That's
on
too much light. There we go.
article here about Money in the Bank cash-ins.
I can tell you the most memorable are the Edge ones.
Okay, Big E won the men's one last year.
Yep.
And cashed in on Monday Night Raw. It was
a face cash in.
Was a face cash in,
but
it was like maybe a month later. He held on to it for a while.
Yeah.
Not a super long time, but a while.
I think it was longer than that even.
Yeah, this article doesn't tell me what
it's a moot point whether or not it was longer.
I'm just trying to see if I can find a list of
I'm surprised. I would be astonished if Ranker doesn't have a rank of the best.
Well, yeah. The thing is, I saw they had a link of the best Money in the Bank matches, and then the best cash-ins, but they didn't have, as far as I. Okay, here we go. Perfect. I found the Wikipedia page I want. So Big E held the contract for 57 days, 2 months, right?
Okay, that's fair.
That's okay.
Short, but not, yeah.
I'd rather it be longer, right?
Yeah.
Nikki ASH held it for 1 day. She cashed in on the following Raw.
The heel needs to hold it significantly longer.
I personally think even a face can hold it longer. I think the point of a Money in the Bank is about elevating the person, and the longer you have them waiting for their time, the better. But that's beside the point. Nikki ASH cashed in 1 day, right?
Yep.
Okay, like I said, 2020, Otis won and held on for 193 days, and then lost it to The Miz, who held on it for 119 days, and then cashed in at TLC. But the cash-in was ruled invalid, and so then he cashed it in later at Elimination Chamber. Okay. That same one, Asuka, and then held the contract for 25 days.
Was that? Oh, and then that's when Becky handed it.
And that's when Becky did the hiatus, right? Although it's officially recognized as one. Okay, here's where it's recognized as 1 day because it was on tape delay because it was an empty arena. They filmed it in advance, so she found out about it the next night after it aired, right? Okay. 2019, Brock Lesnar won it. Held onto the contract for 56 days.
2 months.
2019, Bayley held on to it for 1 hour and 25 minutes. Right? 2018, Braun Strowman held it for 70 days.
Almost 3.
And then Alexa Bliss won the women's and cashed in that night 2 hours and 52 minutes later. Right? So that's twice in a row. Women cashed in on the same day. Same night. 2017 was the first where they had a women's match. First year they had a women's Money in the Bank. Keeping in mind that means the first one was not actually at Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It was on SmackDown Live. No, it was at Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But it was the one where James Ellsworth came in and won the belt for Carmella. Then later they did a rematch on SmackDown.
Mella held that thing for a while.
287 days, yes.
Yeah. And cash in and win, heel style.
Mm-hmm. But longest time that any wrestler has ever held the contract. So that's interesting. But Baron Corbin won it and cashed in 58 days later, unsuccessfully. We go back. Dean Ambrose held the contract for 57 minutes, cashed in later that night, unsuccessfully, apparently. Normally they say successfully, so. Sheamus held it for 161 days. So now we're getting back 2015. You see, we're going back here, and you're going to see almost all of them are above that 100-day mark, right? 2015, Sheamus, 161 days. 161 days. Yeah, I'm getting all marble mouth. 2014, Seth Rollins, 273 days. Randy Orton's an offset because he held on to it for 35 days, but in 2013, there were actually 2 Money in the Bank winners.
That's back when they had Raw and SmackDown split.
And Damien Sandow held it on for 106 days. The year before in 2013, John Cena held on to it for 8 days, but Dolph Ziggler held on to it for 267 days.
And that's where it works with heel face a little bit too.
The previous year, Alberto Del Rio cashed in 28 days later, but Daniel Bryan held it on for 154 days.
And that's when he had the big heel turn.
Yep. So in the end, my argument is that it shows not long term.
Hold on, time out. We'll come back to Money in the Bank. Are you wearing the shirt?
Yeah, you missed me announcing that I was wearing the shirt. I decided to wear it because normally it just hangs on the thing back there, right back there.
The hanger, yeah.
But I wanted people to see it, and it doesn't get shown off well enough there. So I showed it off a little bit. I showed off, there's Colt Cabana, and then
boom boom.
This is Jonathan Gresham. And there's Jordan Grace. And there's Warhorse. Changed it to 69.
Yeah.
Anyways. But so anyways, the Money in the Bank is really more an indicative of WWE feeling comfortable letting storylines take time to develop that they don't seem to be doing nowadays. Whereas AEW is totally fine with the idea of a storyline taking 6 months to play out, a year to play out, 2 years in the case of Hangman, right?
Yeah.
It takes as long as it takes, right? And so, we've got the Malachi Black, House of Black storyline. Who knows how long that'll take? We have Wardlow. Might end this month, might not end till next pay-per-view or the following one. Who knows?
Or 2 years down the line.
Yeah, it's gonna happen sometime. And the slow burn, to be perfectly honest, I'm ready for it now. I will pop hard when it happens now. But the longer it takes to actually happen, the more that pop is gonna be.
And
there is diminishing returns at some point, but
yes, because WWE's actually experimented with that on things like Braun Strowman's push.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that also came down to Braun Strowman saying something stupid on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, but on top of it,
on his push, though,
there also is, you can build someone up without pushing them, really. Like, Wardlow hasn't been pushed yet, but he's been built, right? He's been built to be a monster. As long as they continue to make him a monster and continue to have this MJF being snide to him, thanking Sean Spears instead of him, things like that. But again, eventually there's going to be a point where the fans are just like, just do it already. Yeah. I'm fine if they did it now, but if they decided they wanted to wait till All Out in 3 months, I'd be fine then too, So
full gear,
yeah, end of the year. I would prefer in this situation that they not wait till next year. You know what I mean? They do it this year.
This is not a Hangman Page payoff.
Yeah, it's not big enough for that, but
no.
But it could be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they keep building it up the same way they do, maybe down the road it'll be worth it like that. But I don't see WWE doing these types of long-term storylines or even allowing their programs to breathe enough to get to here. Whereas AEW seems to be comfortable with it just fine. So, so yeah, having Buddy Matthews show up, he'll eventually turn on Malachi Black, I think. Right?
Kind of has to at this juncture.
But they're gonna build it up for a long time, with Malachi Black being the de facto leader, maybe a little bit abusive, maybe. I mean, they don't want to copy the MJF storyline too much, but MJF's like slimy, snide abusive, and Malachi Black could be just flat out abusive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just eventually, Buddy Matthews gets tired of being the beaten dog and barks back. So.
This is a great match on Buddy Matthews' behalf as well. But we knew that. Jeff didn't really leave much to suspense, did he?
No, although he did walk it back and say, don't read too much into it. I was just talking, or whatever. But he said he's going to AEW. We all knew it, so it's not like it was going to be a surprise one way or another. I get the feeling like he said it because it was like he said it on a podcast with 400 subscribers on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing shade at that podcast with 400 subscribers on YouTube, because that's more subscribers than we have on YouTube. Go hit that subscribe button and click the bell to be notified when we go live. Or go to twitch.tv/RawAndOrderWBU. Anyways, so I'm not throwing shade at that podcast by any means. But I am saying that if Jeff really was trying to break news, he would have called up Fightful or
I don't know. What a great way to do it.
More specifically, he probably, I gotta be honest, he probably got a call from his lawyer saying, you're still in your 90-day no-compete. You can't be saying that yet. He's still under contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so because of that, that's probably the biggest reason he walked it back, is because, he was notified that, hey, whoa. Nuh-uh.
Whoa. Hey. What is going on here?
Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that.
Belding.
But yeah, he didn't. It's not going to be any surprise one way or another. I did want to give a shout out to just talking about the Hardys. Matt Hardy. I came across apparently somehow or another I started following Rebby Hardy on TikTok. I don't remember doing it, but I did. And they uploaded a TikTok. I want to say it was yesterday, and it was. They're like, hey, we're driving through this small town in North Carolina. I can't remember what it's called. We found out there's a wrestling event. They have a small wrestling fed here. They're having an event tonight, so we're just going to go buy some tickets and go to it. And they just showed up at this wrestling event. And, of course, were recognized almost immediately by people there who then took them backstage and eventually said, hey, could you maybe, I don't know, just make an appearance? Just go out there, show your face. And he did. He was not in costume. He was not anything. This was obviously not like a planned thing. And I just get the kick out of him being like, hey, there's a wrestling event down the road. You just want to go show up at it? Okay.
Again, we say support local wrestling for a reason. You might meet Matt Hardy. You might be sitting next to him for $8.
Yeah.
Or $22.
Or, he might just show up and sign autographs, or maybe he'll be actually out there and give a speech or something. Or maybe you don't meet Matt Hardy accidentally there, but you do meet Colt Cabana and Laney Luck and Chelsea Green and Heather Reckless and Dan the Dad and Warhorse and Jonathan Gresham and Jordan.
You might
Graves.
be going, and Danhausen's supposed to be there, but he has an injured shoulder.
Yeah, maybe.
That's how evil that man is. He's very nice for letting them use his name to promo the show. Very evil for not showing up.
Well, I mean, he did legitimately break his foot, so,
Oh, was it his foot? I thought it was his shoulder.
It's the same reason he's not actively wrestling right
I
now.
know, but he would also cut a promo that would be like, I was going to be there. It'd be very nice.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of him, he did curse the Acclaimed this week and helped Orange Cassidy win to go in the face of the Revolution ladder match. So we finally...
I catch myself doing that at work.
Yeah. You are cursed! It was great. I was actually following along on like a Facebook group or whatever, and the match started going on, and people were posting, Danhausen's under the ring. I think he lives there. That's where he's gonna be. And he wasn't under the ring. So yeah. He was in disguise ringside as like a ring guy or something.
Wouldn't make you nervous about pulling a chair out or anything, though.
Yeah. I do like it because it was one of those things where like this ring guy walks up with his hands like this, and they're like, "Who is that? Is that someone from the ring crew?" You're like, "No, that's Danhausen. No one else carries their hands like that." You know, come on, guys. But then they pull the mask down, and it's him, and he goes, "You are cursed!" And then Orange Punch.
1, 2, 3. Did you just show a can of Dr. Pepper as your illustration for Orange Punch?
Nope, it's
Cherry Coke.
Cherry Coke Zero Sugar, because gotta have that zero sugar. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag please sponsor us.
By the way, because I wasn't here for the first hour he was live, if he tells all of you guys that I cheated on him, he's a liar. I've had Five Guys numerous times without Sparks there.
So you're admitting to cheating on me multiple times. This is big, right? This isn't a one-time occurrence. You're a serial cheater. Not a serial cheater, because I don't care what cereal you eat, but you are a serial cheater.
Do you not care if I had a bowl of Bootios without you for the first time?
I'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. Now I don't know if you had a bowl of Count Chocula in the middle of summer, I'd be a little bit like, where the fuck you get that?
I think I finished it off last month or this month.
Like, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that?
It made it 5 months though.
I got so pissed, not this last year, but the year before, because I missed the window for Count Chocula, and I didn't get my Halloween Count Chocula. I was so pissed. Anyways, so
it's kind of like somebody who has Girl Scout cookies in April or in August. You're like, listen,
but
I'll give you my life savings for that right now.
Give it to me now. Give it to me now.
My 401k has some money in it.
Yeah. AEW had a great show this week. We've already mentioned, of course, Buddy Matthews showing up. We have mentioned some other stuff. Jade Cargill versus the Bunny might have been the weakest match of the night. Unfortunately, I just don't think they meshed very well. I don't think this was because Jade Cargill is green. I don't think it's because... I just think it's their styles weren't particularly great, but... the tag team battle royal featured a turn, sort of, by Red Dragon on the Young Bucks, costing them their shot in it, and so we'll see where that goes. It was nice to see, playing off the Malachi Black Mist thing, Penta did not show up as Penta El Zero Miedo. He showed up as Penta Oscura, which is a variation of his Pentagon Dark character from Lucha Underground, which I thought was really cool, because Pentagon Dark was super, super fun in Lucha Underground. Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho's face-to-face was gold, right? It was a great promo. Unfortunately, they got upstaged in the promo this week by MJF, delivering almost a babyface promo. It literally, I've been seeing online people talking about it like it's potentially one of the greatest promos of all time. I don't know if I'll go necessarily to there, but oh geez, it was good. It was
Willigers, Charlie.
it was so good that MJF himself was in tears. And I mean literally, he was crying out there. And yeah, I know that's what actors do, but as someone who used to try to be an actor, crying on command is tough. It can be really tough. And so for him to be able to do it with this story, because he's basically talking about how CM Punk was the reason he wanted to start wrestling, and then when CM Punk quit wrestling, it almost ruined him. And that's why he hates CM Punk, is because he abandoned him when he was younger. And then Punk came out to the ring with like no music, just came out and walked to the ring, and all you could hear, he didn't grab a microphone, all you could hear him say, "Is that true?" And then MJF just kind of looked at him, tears dripping from his eyes, and walked away. So good. So good. I don't know where this is going. I mean, I'm not going to start cheering MJF, so that part doesn't matter, but it was still very,
That's
very good.
because MJF is way too much fun to not cheer.
Mm-hmm. He's got such a punchable face.
Really does.
Very punchable. I saw someone on Facebook posted, obviously a troll, or maybe it was TikTok, obviously a trolling TikTok, and it was like, is MJF just a gimmick infringer? MJF is one of the hottest things in professional wrestling right now. Maxwell, Jacob Friedman. But what you might not have known is in an early season of Tough Enough, they had a wrestler submit tape, and here, we're going to show it to you. And it was, "My name is Maxwell Jacob Feinstein." And they're like, so not only is he a low-down dirty heel, but he's a cheat too. And the number of people who took that really seriously, either commenting and saying, actually, Maxwell Jacob Feinstein was just MJF and a different thing, or whatever, was pretty brilliant. I gotta be honest. You know, like, there's a joke, woo, right over your head.
Right over the head. Yep.
But, what else happened? Ricky Starks won the face.
There's another one moving over. I'm trying to. It was Buddy Matthews.
Well,
Jeff
okay.
Hardy. There's another one announced
Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Swerve.
Now known by Shane Strickland again. Shane Swerve Strickland reportedly has signed a contract with AEW. They haven't officially. Maybe they did officially announce it. I'm not sure, but he hasn't officially appeared yet. So, reportedly,
the one that showed up.
Reportedly backstage at Dynamite was also Jonathan Gresham. That one right here. He was reportedly backstage at AEW Dynamite this week, so he didn't show up, but there was a lot of speculation. Was he backstage for a reason, or was he just backstage because he was in the area? Who knows? We'll find out. Was he backstage talking to wrestlers about Terminus? Possibly.
Was he backstage talking to him about ROH? He still has one of the ROH belts.
Yep. He is no longer under contract with ROH,
No.
but he has stated in interviews that if ROH wants to bring him back, he'd go back there. But we don't know what ROH.
Yeah, we don't know anything about what's going on with ROH.
So that brings us to, here's something we'll talk about. Let's take a little bit of time to talk about this because I think this plays into it. Tony Khan has been really coy about his next big deal, right? For about a week. We even, I think, talked about it last week on this, where we talked about it and said it didn't sound like it was a signing that he was referring to. It sounded like something else, right?
Like a business transaction.
Yeah. So there's a lot of potential that it could be. People bringing up, is he buying Ring of Honor? Or at the very least, is he buying Ring of Honor's back catalog, right? Streaming catalog. That would be a big deal. That would be a really big deal. Is he working on a special event? There's a lot of speculation that might be what he's doing. That he's trying to sign a multi-promotional pay-per-view. We haven't had one of those in decades.
Well,
Not really.
G1 Summit, but
The G1, it still isn't multiple promotional. It's still just New Japan.
true.
You know, and this would be reportedly this would be like Impact and New Japan and NWA and maybe MLW all in one super pay-per-view, and maybe Ring of Honor if it comes back for it. I don't know. Reportedly, he's hoping, and he's been very coy about it, saying, "I'm hoping that I'll be able to have the announcement by Wednesday." So.
Yeah, that doesn't sound wrestler related, talent related at all.
No, yeah. Well, and that's the he's been, like I said, very specifically. In fact, he might have even. I know Dave Meltzer says that he doesn't think it's talent related. But at the very least, it could be, like I said, the concept of a multi-generational thing, territory thing, sort of thing. Let's see. See if any speculation on. So, All Elite Wrestling earlier today tweeted out, this Wednesday on Dynamite, we have Hangman Page and Dark Order's John Silver and Alex Reynolds versus Adam Cole and Red Dragon. We have the Tag Team Casino Battle Royal, and AEW GM Tony Khan makes a huge announcement, although he won't make the announcement. Someone else will make the announcement. Because every time they say he's going to make a big announcement, it's like Tony Schiavone in the back saying it. So,
true.
But like, he's been very specific to kind of. Oh, that's funny. Someone tweeted Tony Khan's big announcement: Veer Mahan coming to AEW Dark.
Oh man. Because his contract expired.
But so yeah, what could it be? I mean, did he get the rights to All Out or All In, the original All In? I don't think that's big enough to be the big announcement he's teasing. It would be good. It'd be very cool. Buying the streaming library would be huge. Buying Ring of Honor as a whole would be huge.
And then pumping a show with Sinclair. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would make him and SmackDown the only ones that are over the waves. Not that anybody cares about over the waves, but
that could be cool. A multi-promotional pay-per-view is probably the thing that I'm probably putting the most weight into.
Just for an ROH partnership.
Yeah. I would hope, I'm hoping for a Ring of Honor partnership, but I just kind of feel like him inking the deal and making a big announcement that this July worlds are going to collide, as they can't call it Worlds Collide because it didn't WWE have that a couple of years ago.
This is why it's like Worlds Collide.
Anyways, when New Japan takes on AEW, takes on NWA, winner take all. I don't know, something like that. So I think that would be really good.
That would be very good. Mm-hmm. They could be announcing a power plant though as well. So
could be something. I was trying to find something. It was like when he was on Dirt Sheet Radio or something like that. Says, no one knows what it is. It's not talent, rather something very important for the wrestling business as a whole. So it's not talent. Here's a quote. I'm going to tell everyone right now, you definitely will not want to miss Dynamite. Not only is there going to be a lot of great wrestling on the show, I promise you guys right now, I have a huge announcement coming, and nobody knows what it is. It's a little bit different than anything we've done before, but it's going to be awesome. So,
sounds like maybe even a match style.
Possibly. A little bit different than anything we've ever done before. Could be a new type of pay-per-view. Maybe expanding to 5 pay-per-views a year.
Maybe doing fan vote.
Mm-hmm. The reason I continue to think it's something multi-promotional is because he mentioned being under an NDA. And if it was something just AEW related, I doubt they would put him under a full NDA on it because he's the boss, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel it has to involve some other organization in some way. But that still could be him buying Ring of Honor, or at the very least buying Ring of Honor's tape library. Or, maybe even without the tape library, maybe it's him announcing a streaming service. Or a partnership with a streaming service, We're now going to be on HBO Max or Disney Plus. How fucking badass would it be if it was like Disney Plus? Them beating WWE to the Disney thing. You'd be like, oh, I wanted to do Disney Plus. Looks like we're going to have to stake with Peacock and get $200 million a year.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be upset about that either.
I don't think they're going to be too upset. We're going to take a break real quick. We got 5 packs left, so 1 through 5. What's your vote?
4.
Number 4 it is. See if this pack has anything good.
Smarts, they're all good.
I don't know. You've looked at some of the ones I've opened so far. There have been some stinkers in there. Number 1, Jay Uso. Trying to kill, I think that's Kofi. Or is it Xavier? Nope, it's Kofi. Trying to kill Kofi.
Murder.
Number 2.
Akira Tozawa. You should just drop that in the mail.
Yeah, package that up and send it to JLB. Number 3, still technically with the company. Hashtag free Ali. But this is a hollow one. So.
Ooh, there is sparklies here.
Huh? Our superstar, The Miz. 2007 The Miz.
Because he's The Miz.
That seriously almost looks like when he was about to botch the yeah, it was his debut in 2007. Like when he botched the, what was it, Diva Search announcement. I'm skipping the Allen and Ginter because one of them actually spawns a conversation to talk about a little bit more. We're going to go to the last one in the pack is Dominic Mysterio.
Woo! So hold on to that one. It'll be worse.
Oh, geez, I just dropped it. Hopefully I don't back my thing over it or something.
6 times in an hour.
It fell into my knife. It fell into my knife 9 times. First Allen and Ginter card.
The Rock.
The Rock. And then the second one, the reason I wanted to keep this one for last is because it does play into something I wanted to bring up. It is the 1, 2, 3 Kid. Also eventually known as X-Pac, of course. But at the time, the 1-2-3 Kid. And what I wanted to talk about is, I don't know if you saw what happened at the GCW show this week.
I did not.
So GCW had their latest show. And I think it was called Coldest Winter. Right?
Okay.
And the main event, I think it was the main event, was a match between Matt Cardona and, no, it wasn't Coldest Winter. It was the previous night. What was it? Anyways, was it 15 by 15? Was that the one? No. Anyways, the Matt Cardona and Brian Myers tag teaming against Joey Janela and X-Pac, because of course X-Pac came to rescue
Joey
Janela and all that stuff after the last match at World on GCW. Anyways, and the match went about like you'd expect and everything, and they had X-Pac win. X-Pac and Joey Janela win. I think X-Pac was the one who got the pin. And after the match, X-Pac is giving a speech that sounds very much like a retirement speech. He even says something like, "This might be my last match in professional wrestling," or whatever. And then Joey Janela super kicks the fuck out of him. And then beats him up in the ring and then stands there over him. And so now Joey Janela's turned. Now, again, heels don't have to be friends, so he's not necessarily on Brian Myers and Matt Cardona's side, but he's very much not on X-Pac's side. The crowd went nuts, started throwing trash into the ring, throwing all this stuff. Eventually, someone threw a full thing of beer in Joey Janela's face, which kind of set him off, and he jumped out of the ring and went to the barricade and started attacking the fan. Now, could have been a plant. I don't know. Can't put that past GCW, but what is it about GCW and people being able to develop this nuclear heat that they don't seem to be able to get elsewhere? You know?
Yeah.
Matt Cardona developed it there. Now Joey Janela. I mean, I'm a Joey Janela fan, so I wish they would allow him to do something like this on AEW. Let him be the bad boy. You know, it's his theme song. I'm a bad boy. But so yeah. So Joey Janela turns on X-Pac. I'm not sure I'm ready to cheer X-Pac. But I'm guessing we're going to get an X-Pac versus Joey Janela match down the road.
Retirement match. Hey. Welcome back, buddy. Good to see ya.
Yeah. What's going on? Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans. I agree. It's my hot take. Get in the chat. Let me know.
Fortunately, he's not playing anymore.
Yeah. But so yeah, Joey Janela as a heel. I'm down for it. I wish they'd allow him to do that all over the place, but yeah.
So that was your big news? Was that
well, that was something I wanted to talk about, but I saw X-Pac or 1-2-3 Kid. I wanted to bring it up because I don't know, it still is big news. Joey Janela,
your big news,
being allowed to be a heel and turning on X-Pac. You know, like legitimately, there were news reports like Joey Janela tries to beat fan unconscious. I don't know if it went that far, but that's what I was seeing, stuff like that. So.
No, that would be Jacob Fatu.
Yeah. So to answer, Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans. We do not take calls into our program. No, we unfortunately it's not set up to do it that way, and but we do take chat. So if you have a question or something you want to us to talk about, just let us know, and we'll be happy to talk about it, give you our opinion on it. But we're just not really set up to take calls into the program, and we've been burned before on letting someone into the program unvetted. So, but we'd love to answer any questions you would have. Yeah, no problem, man.
The big piece is we don't give a fuck if you swear. We just need to vet you in other areas.
Yep. But, anyways, I'm sad JLB's not here. I mentioned before JLB not able to be here. He's having some family issues that he's got to deal with.
Prayers are with him, man.
Yep. So
Your thoughts, bud.
It's nothing directly him, but it's family related. So
yeah,
it's he'll be back at some point, but he wasn't able to come today because I was really going to give him all sorts of crap because he's still. I think on the program he cheats on us with, he said he's like 90%, 98% certain that Cody Rhodes is still a work. And I said last week that I was 50-50 basically, or 48 or 49 and 2. I'm probably up to 70% certain it's a shoot. Just there's so much evidence out there that he legitimately has gone from AEW, that he's legitimately trying to do something else. Like recently it came out that he called and talked to DDP before the news broke and said, hey DDP, I want you to know before this news happens that that you're going to hear soon, but I want you to know first. I love Tony Khan. Tony Khan's great. I got nothing but respect for him, but we've decided to go separate ways. And I'm working on something else. It's going to be big, but I can't tell you about it yet. And frankly, I don't want to tell you because I also want you to be surprised by it, but I just want you to know something big's coming and happening soon. Which all of that statement.
Cody Rhodes to ROH confirmed.
Well, yeah. I mean, all of that to me tells that he's not still with AEW. He wants everyone, that he cares about to know that he has no hard feelings towards AEW. Which is not the way you sell the. If this is a work, he's selling it totally wrong. Because if it's a work, the way he sells it is they wouldn't give me the contract I wanted, so I took my ball and went home. And he hasn't been doing that. He's been gracious and everything. He's continued to retweet other AEW wrestlers. And and he's even said, someone said, I'm not watching AEW anymore now that you're gone. He's like, dude, just still watch it, man. I got lots of friends there. I want you to still see them wrestle. And that's not the way you sell this if it's a work, right?
No. It's I understand. You shouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of shit. They're horrible.
Yeah. Exactly. They wouldn't sign me to a contract, so don't watch it. Go watch something else. Maybe, and then maybe turn into Raw this week. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So
you have a very odd way of saying tune in somewhere else.
Yeah, it's a old Monty Python reference. Don't worry about it. But in the end, he's not doing that, and everything about that makes me think it's a shoot, that he's legitimately gone from AEW. That doesn't mean he won't someday maybe be back to AEW, maybe even through a partnership program. Maybe he decides to go to New Japan, and then AEW links a partnership deal with New Japan, and he can show up again. I don't think that makes it a work. I think that makes it serendipitous, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wanted to give him all sorts of crap for it, but he's not here, so. Was there anything specific this week that you wanted to talk about in professional wrestling?
I've already mentioned it.
You're the Buddy Matthews.
I was so jacked. I will say for fans who get a little high horse about the idea that WWE washed up WWE, people go to AEW. Okay. But those ones ain't washed up.
Yeah. The simple fact, we use football references every once in a while for this because I think football references are easy for some people to understand, right? And I've used Tom Brady multiple times. I'm going to use a different football reference this time, but one that I think tells the story in this case really well. A lot of casual football fans didn't know that Brett Favre was not drafted by the Green Bay Packers.
Sure.
He was not originally a Green Bay Packer.
No,
he was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. And he went down there, and he was going to be their backup quarterback. And through the course of training camp, he fell from backup quarterback to third-string quarterback to fourth-string quarterback. And he had problems, and he couldn't pick up the playbook very well, and he was a partier, so he was out in Atlanta partying all the time. And then he didn't play that season. And the next season, Green Bay Packers were like, hey, we need a new backup quarterback. How about we trade you for that guy you're not using? And they traded for him. And he went up to Green Bay and in a very short period of time ended up taking over the starter position.
And winning titles.
And won titles and a Hall of Fame career out of it. So just because someone doesn't work out with one company or one team doesn't mean they're washed up or bad. It just means that they weren't being used right, or maybe they didn't fit in right. I think a lot of us have been at jobs where we were perfectly skilled to do the job, but either the way they had the job set up or the way they wanted you to do the job or the way they managed you didn't work with you. And you were unhappy and you didn't perform up to your satisfaction. And then you go on to a different job and you like your bosses, you like your coworkers, you like the way that they do the job, and you end up doing it well, right? And that's really what this can be. Buddy Matthews was not used well in WWE. He has a chance to go someplace else and maybe be used well. We don't know yet if he will be. I have some faith that AEW will use him well, just based on their history and based on his style and all that stuff. Sure. But we don't know. I mean, AEW hasn't been perfect, and they've definitely flopped on some wrestlers. Brian Cage is a perfect example. Something about Brian Cage didn't work with the storylines they were trying to tell. But so far, I have faith that Buddy Murphy or Buddy Matthews, whichever way you want to call him, is going to work better in AEW, right? But along the same lines, I want to point out this thing. It's patently false that AEW signs all the former WWE wrestlers that are released. In the last
Titan would already be there, and EC3.
Yeah. In the last 2 years, they released like 156 total wrestlers, and AEW has signed like 30 of them, right?
They're big names, but they're big names for a reason.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that didn't show up in AEW that ended up showing up in Impact or MLW or NWA or didn't show up any place, you know? For all the better part of 2 years, the Ascension have been contractless. Recently, Victor from the Ascension showed up on Impact, but not Connor, right? The Authors of Pain, no jobs. The Inspiration didn't come to AEW, much to my dismay. We can go down the list of them, and the vast majority of them did not come to AEW. AEW has been judicious about their signings.
They pick people who fit their mold.
Fit their mold, fit what they want. And, again, they've got a budget. We don't know what it is, right? But they've got a budget. And I think the lack of Cody Rhodes taking up some of their budget might free up some money for them to sign some other people, right?
And still get Cody Rhodes later.
And then, still get Cody Rhodes eventually later.
Or just hire Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. But
people think it's the same anyways.
Yeah. But you mentioning that made me think of someone who... I made the joke to you guys on the chat that Tony Khan is frantically rewriting the last match of the qualifying matches for Face of the Revolution once the news hit that Cesaro, a.k.a. Claudio Castagnoli, is now a free agent. They just like, oh, fuck. I don't remember who I had in that last one, but we got to kick him out so that we get Claudio in this. Sign Claudio. Do it. We've been talking.
He's a free agent?
He's a 100% free agent.
Cesaro is no longer part of WWE.
Not at all.
When did that happen? How did I miss that news?
You apparently did not pay attention to our group chat. That's telling. Good to know.
Thanks.
I
have life going on, and you know it.
I think
I'm
it was
also better than you. You know
Friday.
I definitely had life going on Friday.
Thursday at 3:09 p.m., POW Insider is reporting that WWE and Cesaro have parted ways after failure to come to terms on a new deal. Therefore, there is no 90-day no-compete. None.
I do find it interesting. So, and we don't know for a fact that your understanding of the contracts is correct, but from the research you've done, I'm astonished that WWE does not throw terminate, the final day, knowing WWE's behavior model, to get an extra 90 days of them not doing it.
Yeah, and that's the deal. There might be something in there that stops them from doing it at that point. In this case, they were trying to. They offered him a deal, and he just said it's not good enough and counter-offered, and they couldn't come to terms. And so in this case, them firing him at the last moment would have been counterproductive to their desires, because they wanted to re-sign him. They just didn't want to pay him as much as he wanted. Reports have it that he did not intend on leaving WWE. He just knows his value, and didn't want to take which is exactly the concept of Cody leaving AEW. Cody knows what he values himself as. AEW did not give him that offer. He chose to go his separate way. It's the same storyline with Claudio. The difference is, I really want to see Claudio in AEW right now, and I'm sort of fine with not seeing Cody for a while. And that's
I'd like to see Cody randomly show up at some indies and whatnot.
Yeah, I'd be fine. Here's the deal: is I want to point out that I am a Cody Rhodes fan. I like Cody Rhodes. I like him as a wrestler. I like him on the promos. If you go back and listen to past podcasts, you'll find me raving about how I think he's one of the better promos out there, especially as a babyface promo. when AEW first started, he gave some of the best babyface promos
Yep.
I've seen. I fully think if Cody Rhodes had turned heel 6 months ago, he would have gotten the contract he wanted. I think it was his insistence on not turning heel that opened the door to TK saying, "You're not as valuable as the other people." And I think
you're not as valuable as people who will take the direction that I provide.
Well, yeah, and I think it really simply comes down to this. Cody wanted to stay a face for lots of reasons, but Tony Khan was hamstrung by the fact that as face Cody Rhodes, he could never challenge for the world title, right? Because he made that promise. But the fun thing with a heel Cody Rhodes is you don't have to fulfill that promise anymore. Because you're not a good guy. Bad guys break promises all the time. Right?
Yes, sir, Bob.
So at that point, he can be heel Cody Rhodes and be like, I'm going to go after that title. And how great would a Hangman Page versus Cody Rhodes feud have been? Heel Hangman Page versus face Cody.
We'd have seen a buckshot lariat get caught straight into a crossroads.
Yeah, there would have been all sorts of fun stuff. But because he was hamstrung into this, I can't be a main eventer because I can't go after the world title. So I've got to be this kind of upper mid-card guy. And he did do wonderful on putting over younger talent. But at the same point, there was still a limit to what he could do with that. And that's why I say if he'd have turned heel 6 months ago, he could have been at the top of the card and he would have been worth every penny to Tony Khan. But where he was as he sat there, he was not worth the money that he thinks he deserves to Tony Khan. And I'm all for you knowing your value. Absolutely. In fact, outside of wrestling, I don't care what career you're in, know your value. Advocate
but know your
for yourself.
Actual value as well.
Yeah. Don't overknow. Yeah. Don't overthink your value. Don't think you're worth more than you are. But know your value and advocate for yourself, right?
If your job can be replaced by the general population, you are not $200 an hour.
No. But if your job cannot be replaced by the general population,
you're worth more than minimum wage.
You're worth more than minimum wage. You're worth more than $15 an hour. That's what every time the minimum wage argument comes up and we say raise it to $15 an hour, someone says, well, do you think welders should get just $15 an hour? No. Welders should get more. Welders already do get
the general population.
Yeah, welders already do get more. But here's the deal. If the general population starts making $15 an hour, then welders have a little bit more in their back pocket leverage to go and say, hey, I think we should get a little bit more.
Than Jim Pop. Yep.
They're like, oh, well, $15 an hour, that's what EMTs make. You want a guy flipping burgers to make the same as EMTs? No.
Nope.
I want EMTs to make more. And an EMT would have leverage to say, hey, pay me more to be an EMT or else I'm going to go get that job flipping burgers, It's all the same to
Where I don't have somebody's life in my hand on the regular basis, and I don't have the emotional baggage that goes along with somebody dying under my watch.
Exactly. I'm going to take the easier job for the same pay, or you can pay me more than what I'm worth. So I'm all for you advocating for yourself and knowing your worth. But also I'm a realist, and I knew full well when I was doing a job search to switch to my new job that I couldn't ask for $30 an hour, especially since I was changing careers.
Your worth,
I might be able
$30 an hour.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
then you'll get 22.
Especially with the whole career change path and all that stuff, I knew that I couldn't ask for too much. But I also knew that I could ask for something reasonable.
Yes.
And I said that at job interviews. They said, how much are you wanting to earn? I said, listen, I'm looking in the blah, blah, blah range. And I had people come back and say, well, we're really more hiring in the significantly less range. And I said, I don't think I can do that. And I walked away. I'm glad I did.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now you're a detective.
Yeah, detective. Detective
Also,
in the WBU.
took the time to prove as a beat cop and then as a non-traffic cop anymore, as a patrol officer,
Yeah.
you earn the right to become a detective.
Yep. I don't have to write tickets anymore.
Nope. You don't even have to uniform now. That's fantastic. I mean,
Sure
you
don't.
are today, and I'm proud of you for that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I can even go undercover.
you could.
I might
And
be going.
You
might
can
be
do
going-
wrestling drugs.
Yep, I might be going undercover next Sunday at a theater.
Ooh, in a theater.
Yes.
I really
maybe-
wanted to go, but you know,
Or maybe I won't be undercover. Maybe I'll be wearing this, so people know me.
yeah.
And get the word out.
And they're like, "Hey, I know you from." We've
Or
had a
maybe
couple
they
of
won't
those.
say, "Hey, I know you from," and then I'll hand them one of our cards that say, "Hey, listen to us here."
You're gonna be busy putting that on that party on the cars in the parking lot.
Yes, go out to all the cars in the parking lot. So
I-
that's what I was talking
I
about.
unfortunately don't get to be there.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was a
Wah,
long shot.
wah.
I brought it up to you because I was like, maybe, possibly, but I knew it was a long shot. But it would have been rude not to have asked.
Well, and I was actually originally planning on it for Saturday, and then when it's Sunday, I realized I can't.
Yeah. And I knew
Wah,
it would be
wah, wah.
it would be complex because you would probably, even if you could have done it on Sunday, you probably would have had to have gotten in your car and driven the hour and a half, 2 hours back to your house afterwards. And you would have had to have done the recap podcast while you drove, which isn't exactly the safest way to do things. But
No. I also do want to give a. So we don't do the traditional story of charges and whatnot, but I do want to give a commendation that I discovered this week, and it's regarding one Brock Lesnar. Either the dude has acting chops and has had them for a while, is genuinely the other guy that we saw for all this time, and is also genuinely this guy, or I don't know, like this face Brock is fucking fun.
he gave an interview about a week ago. I can't remember what show. Maybe it was Pat McAfee show. I can't remember. And he kind of talked about how, you know, he's got performance anxiety, a lot of social anxiety, but then when he gets out, he throws himself into the role to be that character because of how the adrenaline that he gets from the fans. And it was actually a really interesting interview, and you know, I'm still not the hugest Brock Lesnar fan, but
More of one than you were probably.
and here's the deal. I've said it before. I'm 100% fine as long as Brock's around. My biggest problem with Brock Lesnar is when he would show up once a month. You know,
when he showed up like Goldberg does right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want Goldberg to show up more.
No.
I'm going to establish that.
Yeah. I'm
So
fine.
I believe, I think I've discovered something about professional wrestling that maybe I didn't know before. But the guy without the acting chops plays destructive force, the speedy destructive force. Maybe if they can work in the ring, but they still don't have the acting chops. They still, I mean, Claudio Castagnoli did not get a lot of respect under WWE because of his accent. Because, quite frankly, he doesn't cut phenomenal promos. He cuts good ones, but not phenomenal ones. Boy, when they have so I listen to several podcasts that aren't wrestling related. I also listen to several wrestling related ones. And one I listened to was talking about The Rock and the evolution of The Rock. It was not a wrestling podcast, but it was the evolution of him as a character and just how much bigger his personality is now than it once was. I think Brock's done that recently. I think he's just allowed himself to be. Maybe it's Rena Lesnar's husband more. Maybe it's Brock the Farmer more. Obviously, it's Brock the Farmer more. We've seen more of that, but more of the guy that gets coffee and also kicks ass. The guy that shows up at coffee, and you're like, oh, he's actually a pretty cool guy.
But no, yeah, it's fun. I still was bored as fuck during most of Raw this week.
No, this was on SmackDown anyways. He walked up to a kid.
He was out also.
What?
He was also on Raw, so
yeah,
that's what I was thinking of. Because he was
he was fun on Raw too. He might be the best thing going for Raw, which doesn't mean that I want the title on him, but he might be the best thing going for. Well, no, Seth and KO are the best thing going on Raw still.
Yeah. Still not sure what they're doing with Finn Balor on Raw. First they had him team with Tommaso Ciampa, and then they had him show up, and maybe he's going after Damian Priest.
So you mentioned the smoke and mirrors. You want to put last week. You mentioned the smoke and mirrors. You want to Edge promo.
Mm-hmm.
That Edge promo also screamed of the Damian Priest of a counter to Damian Priest promo.
I would argue
you want a former world champion, multi-time world champion. I don't understand why Finn Balor's having the match now instead of at WrestleMania. Like, come out and say I wanted it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know. But in the end, here's the deal. That Edge promo was very carefully planned to give hints towards multiple people, I think.
Sure.
It was more the fact that WWE Twitter then posted it, talking smoke and mirrors, that I was posting out there. Because he also mentioned that he could be phenomenal. So hinting heavily that maybe he wants a match with AJ Styles.
I think there was a lot of hinting to him being. I think what it was hinting at was him being the new Undertaker for the WrestleMania draw.
Yeah.
I think, like, you guys should want to face me. Whereas Damian Priest was saying, I'm not doing an Apollo Crews U.S. Championship at WrestleMania. Not that Apollo's not great, but Apollo's not a former world champion. This is the vibe I got from the Damian Priest promo.
But yeah, I mean, otherwise I was just Raw was meh. I'm kind of like, don't get me wrong, I think Chad Gable's current character is the best Chad Gable character we've seen in a long time.
Thank you.
But I am tired of
watching him lose.
Watching him lose, and even he won this week, but I don't know. It's like it's a weird, like, he's not even mid card now. They're not even pushing him mid card. It's kind of like
I'm not sold on Chad Gable. The person I'm most not sold on in any Chad Gable feud right now is actually Otis.
Yeah. I think
Otis is in the wrong role right now.
I think right now I would much rather see Chad Gable in this exact same character on his own.
Yes. Or with a different protege. Otis is heavy machinery. And unfortunately they let Take go.
Rhea Ripley beating the crap out of Nikki ASH.
Yeah. Shit storyline.
What's going on there?
Now the Bianca Doudrop feud leading up to the Bianca Becky feud. I don't understand that. this weird continuation of Bianca and Doudrop.
Yeah, I don't know. I the only thing I can think of is that this is them trying to.
Look how strong Bianca is.
Well, yeah, is them trying to close the book on the Doudrop storyline fully, and
Yeah,
say,
where
okay,
do
now
you go with that though? I mean,
now that's done. Now let's move on to something else, right?
maybe.
But
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not in love with having the opportunity to build Bianca and Becky, which I know is kind of pre-built from last year and all that shit, and I understand. I'm still not sold on it.
yeah, I don't know.
And I just find it. I do find it weird. Who do I get a face at WrestleMania? Maybe nobody, fucker. Maybe nobody. I have to be at WrestleMania. Do you?
Yeah, do you really? I don't know if you really do.
I don't think the Miz's feud is currently eligible for WrestleMania, in my opinion. He will be, but I don't think he's eligible for it. I'm not sold on it. And I love the Miz. I think he's awesome.
He is awesome. I came to win.
I feel like you're reading something there, and you're about to throw some big piece of information at me.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure I'm reading the right week's results.
Oh, so I'm going to ask, while you're looking at that, I'm going to ask, is there anything that would make you invest in Ronda and Charlotte? Sonya Deville's involvement is not going to pull it off for me.
No. I don't know if there is. I was going to make a joke of Ronda's baby on a pole match, but I don't even think that would do it, so.
God, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was a bad joke. Bad in multiple ways. It was like multi-level bad.
Well, it's also, Charlotte uses it as an insult for Ronda to go make another baby. Huh? What?
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was gonna make the joke, but it was a bad joke, bad in quality and bad in terms of concept. So
the whole thing just
yeah.
There's nothing that will make me invest in that feud.
The only maybe if they have Shayna Baszler come out and kick the crap out of Ronda Rousey, and then they turn it into Shayna Baszler versus Charlotte.
I can invest in Ronda. You know how I would invest in Ronda? She just came back. You have her lose this match, and she works her way back through the card, losing some matches, losing to a Dana Brooke. By roll-up is something. It's okay to do.
I'd have her go down to NXT and work her way up from there.
I'd
put her
Brock
in
has
NXT
lost by
next
roll-up
up.
before.
Next up, that's what I would put him, or level up, whatever they call it.
Level up.
I think that's what they call their new spin-off show.
And I don't know what is with. Okay, so she's actually getting fan pop, but she's still pissed off that they turned on her last run. But they turned on her because they were tired of the face Ronda. I don't understand it. I just...
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, if they really wanted Ronda, they should have brought her back as heel Ronda from point one, right?
And she was kind of heel Ronda, but not really.
She should have been 100% heel Ronda. But
she can't cut a fucking promo to save her soul either.
But heel Ronda doesn't have to cut a promo. Heel Ronda can come out and just blow everyone away. You know what I mean?
Goldberg, early Brock Lesnar, all of those things we talked about. Yep.
Beat people up.
You can't.
But then you'd have to put her against someone else. You can't have her against Charlotte if she's heel, because Charlotte's also heel right now. and Charlotte's never gonna allow someone to out heel her, right? So, but yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
NXT Level Up is their new Friday night show.
For real?
Yeah, it's their new.
Streaming
I
service or
don't.
no?
It's on Peacock, I believe. I guess I don't know
Streaming
for certain.
service.
Streaming service. I guess I'm not sure for certain. I didn't.
To oppose TNT's show?
Yeah. So like this week, I will say this: it's got Nigel McGuinness on commentary. I'm
That's
happy
a
to see that
plus.
back. Yeah.
Yeah,
You had
you guys
James
missed it,
Drake. James Drake versus Zion Quinn. Who the fuck is this guy? Elektra Lopez versus Saray. Hey, I know two of those names.
I don't know Elektra
was-
Lopez, but I do know Saray.
Elektra Lopez is tangentially related to Legado del Fantasma, sort of. And then Saray is Saray, right? Joe Gacy and Harlan versus Kushida and Ikemen Jiro.
So
Those are names I
right?
recognize. I recognize almost all those names.
Yep.
So I'm uncertain, to be perfectly honest, uncertain as to what NXT Level Up is trying to do. Like, is it trying to be a step up from NXT or a step down from NXT? You know what I mean?
It's trying to compete with AEW Rampage.
Yeah, but in the end, there still needs to be a concept. Is it?
Yes.
Is it going to be the Hulu? It's a Hulu series. Is it supposed to be like you're in NXT and now you level up and you're one step closer to going main roster? Or is it you have to level up to make it to regular NXT? So this is your way to level up. I'm not even sure. I don't know. And that's part of the problem. It's got this like no concept really. Oh, but now it says Peacock. Jeez, I read one. It replaced 205 Live as the biggest thing. There's no more 205 Live.
Gotcha.
So yeah, who knows? I would also like to point out some things that we kind of mentioned and but might have slipped by you since, like you said, you were busy with things.
Lifing. Yep.
Busy with lifing things. We mentioned Brian Cage not being used properly or well in AEW. They did drop the ball on him. They, however, must apparently still like him well enough because reportedly, at least according to people who talked to Brian Cage himself, although he is now denying it, but according to people who've talked to him himself, they have exercised their option for another year on his contract. So he's going to be around for another year. So maybe they're going to do something.
No Wardlow feud.
After Cesaro got not released, his contract ended with WWE, Eddie Kingston immediately tweeted out, "All I'm going to say is he doesn't have the balls to come to AEW."
He not only has the balls, I think that's where he's headed.
I think that's a huge hint towards where he's headed, yes. A very big hint.
Very, 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 very big hit.
But that being said, all reports have it, like I said, that Cesaro and WWE were in negotiation back and forth for months and just couldn't come to an agreement. And the time ran out. So he also might still be talking to WWE.
Very possible.
You know, so just like we mentioned with Cody Rhodes before, just because someone's no longer currently with the company doesn't mean that they're permanently gone from the company. They could still be working it out trying to get things figured out. So
I am a little bit excited to see how things are starting to break down. I love that things are constantly changing, including in WWE. I will say, when good writers get the opportunity to invest and Vince listens, you get Roman Brock, which the storyline is actually more enjoyable than their matches are, because we've seen their matches dozens of times.
the important phrase is Vince listens.
When Vince listens and good writers.
Thing is, I still believe WWE has good writers. It's just the Vince listens part is the important part. It's also that they've understand that their job security relies on them listening to Vince, not the fans, right?
Yes.
They can write all the storylines they want to please the fans, but Vince is going to come in and say, "No, this is bullshit. Cut this, scratch this, put in a comedy bit here, make Tozawa look silly, scratch that tag team. Who's the fat guy? Make him funny. Who's that fat guy? Make him not funny."
So true. Who's the fat guy? Make him funny.
But so yeah. Also, it was just reported earlier that Hikaru Shida is on her way back to the States. So she is done with what she was going to be doing over in Japan and selling her injury angle, and will be back within a few weeks to
Shida.
And I'm happy about that because I like Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru Shida.
I do think she would be a really good addition in the TBS title, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I loved her as a champion. I feel really bad that she literally lost her championship the day they went back to full crowds. Like, come on, give her at least a couple full crowd shows, right? But
give her some time under that really cool, sweet ass belt.
Yeah, the new belt. They gave her the new big belt, and then she immediately loses it to Britt Baker.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, seriously, if you wanted to do this new special belt and put it on Britt Baker, you could have just had it be the one Britt Baker won. You know what I mean? Hey, you won. Yep. Congratulations. Here's your new belt. But to give it to Hikaru Shida and then the next night she loses it was a little bit meh. But at the same point, I think the TBS title could use a high profile, like a former women's champion going after it to help elevate it a little bit.
I feel like Hikaru Shida is that.
I feel like that's a really good use for her. Right now, it looks like it's Ty Conti that's going to be going after it. I'm not sure how I feel about that, if only because, like, she's going to lose, right? They're not going to have Jade Cargill lose it just yet. Do I want Hikaru Shida? Not Hikaru. Do I want Ty Conti to lose right now? I don't know if I want her to lose. But I don't think they're going to take it off Jade Cargill until she gets to 30 wins, 40 wins. She's at 28 right now, so 2 more would put her at 30. I don't know. Anyways, it should be a big week for professional wrestling. Excuse me, on the AEW side, because it is the go-home week before AEW Revolution. We've already got a pretty stacked card for AEW Revolution that will only get more stacked this coming week, as a few other things get solidified. But I think last week when we talked about it on the FBI show, I had you guys fill out the card, because at the time we had, I think it was 5 matches officially, and we're now up to 9. So we added 4 matches since then. We now have Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti. We now have the AHFO, which is Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy against Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin. We knew there was going to be the three-way tag team match, Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon versus To Be Determined. We officially have Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson now. Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston's official. Keith Lee versus Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks versus Orange Cassidy versus one more name to be announced in the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa is official. CM Punk versus MJF again but this time in a dog collar match is official. And of course, the main event is expected to be Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole Bebe. That's a fucking stacked pay-per-view already there.
That is a card. A very, very card.
I don't know if they can add anything more to it. And so I think this week will be mostly finalizing things. There's 2 matches that have to be determined still on it. The AEW World Tag Team match and the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if we can add any more actual matches to the card without it being something that just goes for fucking ever.
Well, especially considering one of those is the ladder match, Face of the Revolution match. So, but we'll have an opportunity to talk about that next Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? We've hit the 2-hour mark of casting pods.
Yes, 2-hour mark of casting pods, although I did start it early.
Yes, about 10 minutes early.
And then I stumbled through about 15 minutes while you had to update your computer, apparently.
Sorry.
How many matches did they have last year on Revolution?
12.
9 total matches.
This one will probably stop at 9 total matches as well.
So yeah, I don't think they're going to add another match. 9 total matches. One of them was on the pre-show, so 8 matches on the main card. And right now they're at 9 matches. I will point out last year was when Christian and Ethan Page both made their debuts. Face of the Revolution ladder match, that final TBD.
Mm-hmm. To be determined.
Do we have that figured out at Dynamite this week, or does that end up being a surprise night of? And if so, Swerve?
I don't know if Swerve's going to be the big impact that they want.
I think he 100% can be, but in terms of like name recognition, he's not. You're right. I think get him out there and let him show his stuff. He could be, but you know, last year at the Face of the Revolution, it was Christian Cage, I believe, who came out at the ladder match, if I'm remembering correctly.
I thought that was... Oh, no, I was thinking Brian Cage in the different...
No, that was Ethan Page in that match.
Yeah.
Christian Cage came out... where did he come out? Oh, yeah, that's right. He didn't come out in a match because he was the big announcement they had that they hyped up with Mark Henry was going to make a big announcement or something.
Oh, Big Show.
Big Show. Was it Big Show? It was whoever. Whoever was going to make a big announcement, and it was Christian Cage showing up. So, yeah. It was Ethan Page. But that's the deal. That was the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So right now, they've still got one left to do it. Is this where they bring the surprise in? Whether it's Swerve or, heck, if it's Jonathan Gresham, or I personally think Cesaro showing up, Claudio as the, would be a huge thing. And we know he could pull off a ladder match, So,
Absolutely.
but it's gonna be a crazy week. I cannot wait for Dynamite this week. I can't wait for Rampage and then Revolution. And like I said, I'm still deciding if I'm gonna go to that big screen. Like, there's part of me that's like, how much fun is it to watch a pay-per-view from the comfort of your own home, where you can get up and yell and go take a piss whenever you want to, and
get your little smokies,
you
barbecue sauce on them.
Yep. And don't have to pay $30 for a bag of popcorn. I'm being hyperbolic. It's only like 25, but
it is just popcorn.
But it's just popcorn. Yeah. But anyways, at the same point, the other side of the coin is, if there are enough people there, being that'd be a cool environment to see it at. So I'm debating back and forth. It'd be cheaper to go there.
Yes.
Except if I buy popcorn. Then it would not.
Yes. Then the price is full. I am stuck at home, so I will be using Fight TV for mine. Hashtag still not sponsored.
If Fight wants to throw us a sponsorship, I'm down. I will promise you that I will live stream reactions to all of them if Fight TV throws us a sponsorship. I'll start getting into MMA if they want to sponsor us.
Yeah. You give us all the content on Fight for free, and we will do shows all the time.
Yes, all the time. We won't even have to twist JLB's arm to do them. He'll be like, nope. MMA, I'm in. I haven't watched MMA since Diego Sanchez was on the UFC Ultimate Fighter show. I liked him.
We'll even do random old pay-per-views.
Yep. We'll do them. We'll do them all. Anyways, I think that brings us to the end for tonight. I think we're kind of grasping at straws now, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up for the Wrestling Booking Unit. If you joined us for the live stream, thank you. Michael Jordan fans are worse than the worst NBA fans, then that's his name. If he's still here. If you did not join us for the live stream and are listening to us later or watching the replay, also thank you. I mentioned before, Twitch is probably going to be the best way to watch us in the long run, because eventually we'll probably be exclusively to Twitch, even though right now we're doing Facebook and YouTube as well. But we're also going to do some things that are exclusive to Twitch one way or another. So if you're following us on Facebook or YouTube, head on over to twitch.tv/RawAndOrderWBU to follow us there, because we would love to have you there. We are still uploading these as podcasts after the fact anyway, so you can still listen to us audio version as well. But on that note, you can make sure to follow us on the social medias. You can follow me at RawAndOrderWBU. Pretty much any place except for on Facebook, where it's at Pissant Podcast. You can follow D.A. Fabe at
D.A. Vincent K. Fabe.
Just on Twitter, though. Fuck those other places. Right.
Just on the tweets.
You can follow JLB at the links in the doobly-doos if you want to do his stuff. He's active in a lot of other things other than wrestling, and he also cheats on us with another wrestling podcast that we're not going to promote here. But I do always hop on their live streams and promote this podcast there, so fuck them.
Yep.
But on that note, we will go ahead and wrap things up, close the book on the Wrestling Booking Unit. Thank you all for listening. We will see you soon.
Bye.